Hey there, guys. Alright, today we are back with some more History Matters. This time, we're hitting up another short animated documentary. This time, Hiroshima, After the Bomb. I am curious about this one because, you hear about Hiroshima a fucking lot. But really, the discussion around Hiroshima pretty much stops after the bomb. No one ever really talks about the development of Hiroshima and what's been going on there since the end of the war. They talk about, like, yeah, shit's fucked up and will be fucked up for a while or whatever. But Hiroshima's been rebuilt. It's a beautiful fucking city now, compared to, you know, what it looked like in 1945. Um, but yeah, so I'm curious. Before we dive in, though, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. I would love it if you joined the Discord and followed me over at Twitch. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right in.
We all know how the Second World War ended,
Now, can someone give me a spoiler alert for it?
with the decision to drop the atomic
Do it.
bomb on Hiroshima on August the 6th, as well as on Nagasaki on August the 9th. Whilst much is known about the decision to drop the bomb on Hiroshima, not a great deal is said about the conditions in the city in the immediate aftermath of the bombing.
As I was saying,
The bomb was dropped at 8:15 in the morning. About 70,000 people were killed near instantly, with about 10,000 more dying after fire swept through the city. So in the wake of the atomic bombing, the central Japanese government didn't know what had happened. The US Air Force had been conducting bombing runs over Japan continuously for months by this point, and the alarm wasn't really sounded until the army garrison at Hiroshima stopped reporting in. After many hours of not being able to get a response, army chiefs opted to send a recon plane to see what had happened. The recon pilot saw the mushroom cloud from over 100 miles away, but before he could return to Tokyo to say what had happened, President Truman had announced the bombing to the world. Unsurprisingly, the Japanese government was completely unprepared for this event and early
okay, so just this little bit here has already done so much to put into context the difference between an atomic bombing and the fire bombings, because obviously if we look at the numbers, the fire bombings were more devastating than the two nuclear bombs by pure numbers standpoint. But here's the thing. Firebombing isn't instantaneous destruction. Firebombing is a thing that lasts a while. People are going to be able to escape. They're going to be able to flee. Once that nuke drops, once it hits the ground, or it's one of, like, obviously at this point they had to hit the ground, I believe. No, they explode just before hitting the ground. Don't they explode, like, in the air to maximize the radius or something? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But yeah, this is the nuclear bomb. The atomic bombs are fucking that. They're boom, you're gone. You're gone, son. You're gone. So just that little bit has added a lot of context towards the Japanese side of things, and also really just how absolutely horrifying these weapons are, because I mean they have not been used in war since then, and so it's like it's hard to really imagine just that instantaneous, especially nowadays where you pretty much always have access to communication. The nuclear bomb would be an instantaneous loss of that communication for however wide that blast radius is. Fucking scary.
rescue efforts were poor. In fact, the first people the government sent there were atomic scientists to determine whether or not the Americans were lying.
Seems nuky.
So the humanitarian response in the city was pretty awful, and the reason why was that the death toll included many of the city's high-ranking officials as well as medical and military personnel. That and the fact that the building where rescue efforts were supposed to be coordinated from no longer existed. Most of the city's civilian survivors fled to the surrounding countryside, where infrastructure and the availability of food and medical supplies was extremely poor. Perhaps the most famous man to flee the city was Tsutomu Yamaguchi, who, after suffering serious burns, decided to seek safety in his hometown of Nagasaki. He survived both atomic bombings. Hiroshima and relief efforts there were plagued with supply issues. There was little drinking water, food was sometimes scarce, and it took many weeks for medical professionals to arrive en masse. In fact, in the 2 hours after the blast, the Red Cross Hospital, the largest one to survive the blast, had over 10,000 people visit. It had a
Damn.
capacity of 600. The man who
Oh.
led relief efforts within the city was a man called Shinzo Hamai, who basically worked for weeks straight attempting to fix infrastructure and save as many people as possible. His initial efforts were undermined by the fact that relief was organized through the Japanese army, and given that they
No surrender. Unless they use a second atomic weapon and the USSR invades Manchuria.
intended to keep fighting the war, supplies and potential relief workers were directed elsewhere. And also, in case you're wondering, the radiation dissipated very quickly, barring a few areas of the city, and so it wasn't lethal to stay there. The city remained in its bleak state for about 2 months, when after the Japanese surrender, the city was occupied by the American military, and aid became much more readily available. You should also know that the Americans pursued a policy of heavy press censorship concerning the after effects of the bombings, and thus many in Japan were unaware of how bad things were in Hiroshima. So people didn't really start to return to Hiroshima for a couple of years, and most settled in the outskirts of the city. In 1947, Hamai became Hiroshima's first democratically elected mayor, and he tried to work with the American occupying forces to improve
That's
relations.
bad.
The Japanese didn't start the process of rebuilding the city proper until 1949, and it would be many more years until the city recovered to its pre-war population. Hiroshima and its people had endured unimaginable tragedy, and remembering the stories of men like Hamai and Yamaguchi are important when looking at the atomic bombings. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and
Okay, this was another one of those decent episodes. This is another one of those. This is kind of my expectation of quality from History Matters. It's not blowing me out of the water. It's not like, I would say it's not an above average video for them. It's what I expect from them. It's still high quality. It's the quality I expect from History Matters. But the intro was really good, as I was talking about. God damn, I'm so tired. The first like 50 seconds or whatever were really solid because of that whole emphasis, the talking of how Central Japanese Command there, fucking instantaneous loss of communication with the military in Hiroshima. That was a really good thing to add for like context and just understanding of how powerful these weapons are. So that was Hiroshima After the Bomb, a short animated documentary by History Matters. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.